Hello again, WindDrakeHex Hex doing a limited review of Armies of Myth. Blood this time. Blood is looking quite sweet. A lot of exciting new mechanics or effects. Uh, More realistically, archetypes emerging. Just some super powerful cards, and it's going to be a ton of fun, and I can't wait. So let's get into it. Card number one. Abominate. Let's scroll down so we can get a full view. Uh, Abominate is 2 resource. You need 1 blood threshold to cast, and it's a basic action. So right then and there, it better be freaking amazing because basic actions are completely telegraphed. They're not sneaky. You can only do them on your main phases. Your opponent has all sorts of opportunities to punish you for playing basic actions. So the effect better be sweet. Okay, it's a common, so it's probably not going to be that sweet. So let's read on. As an additional cost to play this, sacrifice a troop. That's horrible. So now the effect better be I win the game. Target troop gets +3/+3. Okay, so every once in a while, this card is going to say I win the game. Most of the time, it's not. Huge setup cost, basic action, not bad on an evasive troop or something with crush. I don't know. A lot of these other cards have a lot more in blood, have more toughness than power. Maybe it'll help you swing through on a real stally kind of board. I don't know. But essentially, it's, I'm going to go ahead and say pretty underpowered and not really worth the slot in the deck. I hope I'm proven wrong, but right now it looks like a D minus. Next card. Archaeo Arachnophobia. All right, that was a movie from 1985. One of my favorites. I was 2. Okay, Arachnophobia. Create 2 spiderling eggs for each opposing champion and put them into their decks. I love it. Even though it's a basic action, this card isn't trying to be sneaky. It's saying, I'm putting a ticking time bomb in your deck. Good luck. And then each opposing champion chooses and discards 2 cards. What? There's nothing but upside on this card. I'd be more than happy to pay 3 mana for it. Chances are you're not going to play this unless you're in the spider egg kind of Tyrantrodon kind of archetype, which is kind of control-y, has time. You could play it on turn 3, turn 6, turn 9. It doesn't really matter. It does what it does. Obviously, the earlier the better, so you can have more opportunities for your opponent to draw the spiderling eggs. But it's a house. It's a staple in that archetype. Unfortunately, it's uncommon. But if it was basic, this would be like you'd build a deck around it. You could first pick this. You might not want to, but it's probably better around 5 or 6. Um, I really think this archetype is going to be heavily drafted early on. So uh, there's gonna be a lot of competition for this kind of thing because it just sits back. It has decent creature base, blood does, and it just sits back and says, "Hey, I have a win con somewhere in your deck. Actually, I have 5 win cons somewhere in your deck, and I'm just gonna wait it out with all my big power, with my removal and heavy toughness dudes. Like I'm so excited about this archetype. Anyway, this card's great. I give it a B. It's a huge role player in this archetype, and I can't wait to play it. Blasphemous horror. So we saw this earlier in the artifacts. There's an artifact that triggers and creates blasphemous horror. Um, oh, it's a PVE card. All right, never mind. Moving on. Bloat cap. Bloat cap is a kind of most likely going to be bloat in your deck. When this dies, each opposing champion chooses and discards a card. All right, that's fine. Cards like this in the past and other TCGs have been okay. I mean, if it said discard at random, I'd be a lot more excited about it. If it said you choose, it would be amazing. The fact that your opponent gets to choose takes a lot of the punch out of this. Um, if you do play it when he has 1 card, you're playing a 1/1 for 2 on like turn 7, so it's kind of poop there too. On curve, this card really doesn't do anything. I guess if you just want to fill your deck with disruption, this is fine. But really not that exciting. I would cry 2 to 3 tiers if I had to play this in my deck. Blood Pit Reaver, on the other hand, looks to be quite good. Let's see. It's 6 resources to cast, double blood threshold. So this is most likely going to be in your dedicated blood deck. Has Rage +2. That effect was really powerful in set 1 and set 2 on the few cards that had it, and I just assume that it's going to be really powerful in this set too. So far, this set seems a little slower. Um, but anyway, which makes this effect even more powerful, potentially. Actually, it's to be seen. Never mind. Anyway, Rage +2 is great. The start of your turn, destroy each troop with the lowest power or attack. So, in other words, this is a really heavily skill testing card. You're going to have to create a line around this guy if you just haphazardly cast him or forget about his downside/upside, depending on the context or board state. He's gonna punish you. If you can make plays around casting this guy, he's gonna be excellent because he's gonna clear away. Like this card has a great chance that his rage really gets to see its full potential by being the only troop on the board, or it's gonna make your opponent make bad blocks. The lower power stuff can't just like hoard up on it and use a trick. They have to put the big stuff in front of this. You're also in an archetype that has a lot of removal or quality 1-for-1 removal, so there's a good chance that this is going to be the only troop and really solid blood decks. I really like this guy. His power and toughness to power to cost ratios right on cue. He's a rare, so they're not going to be able to see him a lot, so of course he's awesome and limited, right? But anyway, cool card. Bloodsoaked Brawler, an 0-2 for 2. Rage 1. There is a world of difference between Rage 1 and Rage 2. Rage 1, um, it needs to be a decent creature on its own. As you can see, an 0-2 for 2 is not a decent creature on its own. It needs a world of help. It gets a little bit with this can't be blocked by troops with less attack than this troop's attack. So if you swing on 1 on turn 3, if a creature only has, if your opponent's playing a 1-3, which is not a ton of, it can't block. Chances are it's going to be a 2x or better, and this thing just sits there and waits for its opportunity to jump block. Yeah, good with tricks, I guess. So are all creatures, so this card's pretty poo-poo. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and give it, I don't know, D+, just because it's a troop, and some times it's going to be good. Demon of Dusk, another rare, so you're not going to see this a whole lot. Triple Blood Threshold, so obviously only your most dedicated blood decks are going to be able to play this. For those of you that are brand new to draft, if you're building a deck and you see something with triple threshold, play at least 10 blood shards. Otherwise, this guy is going to be sitting in your deck more often than not, punishing you, or sitting in your hand. And this is a card that needs to get out ASAP because if he the longer yeah, he has a downside, so he needs to get out early and just outpace your opponent because he's extremely aggressively costed. But as you see, he will have a downside. So it has flight, 6/6 for 5 for flight. This would be the best card in the set, if that's all it said. But it doesn't. At the start of each opposing champion's turn, create a Celestial of Dawn for that champion and put it into their deck. Celestial Dawn happens to be a diamond card that is the mortal enemy of Demon of Dusk. Let's see if we can find him. Celestial of Dawn, the mortal enemy. And I say that because they actually quote each other in each other's card. There we are. Troop, Avatar, Hope, blah, blah, blah. Celestial of Dawn. Same kind of analog to the other guy, but a little more expensive. But anyway, prevent all damage that would be dealt by this by blood avatars. What? So this just nerfs that card if you get it out. It happens to be the drawback of the other card. So you're like racing the hope they don't draw this. When you draw this, if an opposing champion has a blood avatar in any zone, so that's your graveyard, right? Play it for free. So even if they're in if they deal with your with your blood avatar and it sits in the graveyard, you get to ramp this guy out for free. I don't know about you, but a 6/6 flight that nerfs probably the best card in your deck. It's pretty sweet. So if that doesn't win you the game, it will lose you the game. It's kind of the high variance, and it kind of reminds me of Demons and Magic the Gathering, in which they have these great, huge upsides and terrible downsides. that old like archetype and make a deal with the devil kind of thing. I like it. It's full of flavor. It's a lot of fun. But that's Demon of Dusk. And okay, well, it's not a blood avatar. I don't know. So I take that back a little bit. But anyway, that card's amazing. So let's not get he's an avatar of despair. So anyway, that card is very good. I guess it's a lot better. I guess I messed up my naming of cards. But anyway, when you play this, you are gonna want to maximize him ASAP because um, you want him to win the game as fast as possible because he does have a downside. I would say this is definitely for Spickable. Play it, push your edge, and you'll probably be fine. Just know that it comes with a risk. Uh, so I'll give that card a B minus just because it's a RNG card. It would be an A plus without the potential downside. Devouring Doomspire. It's a legendary, so you're basically never going to see it. But um, 8, really expensive. 6/6 for 8, really bad. Triple blood, pretty prohibitive. Let's look at what it does. While this is in your hand, sacrifice 3 troops and play this for free. So it's not free because you still need to have a setup cost of 3 blood threshold. So this is again going to go in your mono blood decks or your base 10 blood decks. But playing it for free, 6/6 for whenever is awesome. There's not a whole lot of uh, kind of Shinhari type cast 3 creatures for 1 card, type effects where you could just sack outlets for this guy. There will be, but the little spiraling eggs are kind of good. I don't know if I necessarily want to be sacking those guys with the unblockable and all that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. You're gonna cheat this in. It's probably gonna be a more fringe kind of constructed card. I don't even know if he's necessarily good in draft. I'm gonna go ahead and say that he is just because no, this is about as RNG as it gets. Because if you do sack your 3 guys and your opponent just has a removal spell for it, you just essentially 4 for 1 you, and it is almost impossible to win a game once you've been 4 for 1. So yeah, I'm not real into this card. It's cool. I like the concept of it, but moving on. Disciple of Yuzuken has flight and speed for 1, or 1/1 with flight and speed. 2 cost resources, double threshold blood. Okay, that's weird. Kind of break even on the vanilla test. Uh, when another troop enters your graveyard, if this is in your graveyard, add a soul counter to this. Okay, so it gets soul counters. It gets counters in your graveyard. That's kind of interesting. And you start at the start of your turn. If there are 3 or more soul counters on this, and this is in your graveyard, put this into play and remove it. Remove all counters. Okay, so it has like a really slow kind of bounce from your graveyard type effect. It's not very exciting on its own. It's not really gonna do much for you when it's first time you cast it or when it's brought back out. If you could pump it full of effects, make it huge, your opponent deals with it, then you get it back. That's kind of cool. But basically, yeah, pretty underpowered. Not that exciting. It's a rare, so you're not going to play with it that much. I don't really know. There's some archetypes going to take advantage of this, but just in a vacuum, I don't like it. Duskwind Reclaimer is a 5 cost, 1 blood threshold for a 2/4 with flight. That's probably about break even. That's decent. Prefer it to be 4, but 5's fine. And this, having 4 toughness at cost 5 is pretty much a theme and a control based archetype, color, shard type, shard pie. You want toughness creatures, big creatures that are hard to deal with, so you kind of stick around and control the game. Control the board until you set up as 1 con. It's kind of the idea of control. So anyway, this has 2/4 for flight, and when this enters play, void target troop in an opposing graveyard. Sweet. Choose and gain a threshold you don't have. Sweet. Those are 2 independent effects that may or may not benefit each other, and they're both pretty sweet. So yeah, it can open up the door to your splash or your 5. It's definitely like a utility troop in your 5 shard if that becomes a thing. It's base power and toughness and effects for 5 or right on. This card's sweet. I really like it. So I give it a B minus. It's too high for. It's not gonna like outright win the game. So um, C plus. Okay. Egg Bright Afflictor. This is a common, so you are gonna see a lot of this. So, ooh, this is good. Let's check it out. It's a 2-1 for one. Okay. That's fine. Every deck needs these. This can't block. That's not good. Blood's not particularly aggressive. This is definitely an aggressive type thing. Uh, being two cost for 2-1. It's not even really that push. But anyway, when you see this can't block, typically it means it's an aggressive card. But this doesn't look like one so far. So let's check it out. When this dies, create 4 spiderling eggs. That's huge. For each opposing champion and put them into their decks. That I mean, just did some quick math on this. Say you get this late stage and your opponent has like 24 cards in their deck. 4 is like, oh, it's like a 6. It's insane. It's basically like they have a 1 in 6 chance of just losing the game. And I say losing the game, it's not actually losing the game. It's killing something of theirs and then having a 5/5 left over. Like spiderlings are just insane. Um, unless I'm getting that wrong. Spiderlings. Oh, spiderlings. No, spiderlings aren't that great. They're 1/1 for 2 unblockable. What am I thinking of? Thinking of tarantulas. I'm thinking about anyway. Still, it's very cool. Um, I do think it's a card that you want to be blocking to kind of sack and get out of the way to get the effect. But I don't know. Your opponent may not want to block it, and you can keep tacking in. It's going to give you some card advantage most games. Um, it's not enough to just suicide attack him, in my opinion. But you need stuff to play on too. Um, yeah, he's totally fine. C. And I thought it was the tarantula eggs. I thought this card was just broken and busted, but no, it's a spiderling, so that's cool. Whatever. Um, unless I'm wrong, unless spiderling eggs turn into tarantulas. I don't know. Let's look at tarantula. Spider. This is gonna take way too long. I got a lot of cards to go through. Okay. Emperor's Lackey. 4/4 for 2. Okay, that's the best card in the set. New best card in the set. Wait, there must be a downside. Start your turn. This gets -1/-1. Okay, so he's on the suicide plan. Is there any way out of it? Yes, yes, there is. Sacrifice another tree, revert this. I don't know. When I think sack outlet in this archetype or this color pie, I think of Orin Blood. I think of Spiderlings. I don't really want to sacrifice the Spiderlings. Like that's just like puts a clock on her opponent with the unblockable. But occasionally, I mean, being able to revert them, like get them all the way back to 4. 4/4s are always good for the most part. So resetting this guy is probably going to be useful. Um, one just getting -1/-1 each turn, slow enough to where there are going to be situations when you're going to want to sack something to keep this guy going, and it's just card to disadvantage otherwise. I don't know, RNG card for sure. Really depending on your board state in your deck to whether or not this is good or bad. I generally don't like those type of cards, so I'm gonna give it a C minus. Exarch, Exarch, the egg, lethal. When this or another venom enters play under your control, create 2 spiderling eggs for that opposing champion and put them into their decks. This card's amazing. He's perfectly costed at for blood at his resource requirements. 1/3 is awesome in control, especially in draft. It's really hard to deal with 3 toughness early on. The fact that he's lethal means he just says no to like any ground attacks. Um, he has tribal with Venom, which is kind of the themed class of blood this set, and you get the bonus of the spiderling eggs. This guy is super good and rare, so if you see him, first pick him, build a deck around him, have fun. Probably gonna be worth something, some sort of money too. Gem Soul Feeder, Necrotic Cleric. So necrotic, triggering necrotic allegiance or whatever it's called. life drain, not bad. For 2/2 life drain for 3, not bad. Shift, life drain. So being able to have a little shift control with your life drain is definitely powerful. This card is decent on its own. I don't really like 2/2s in this in blood. Kind of more control-y type, but being able to send life drain to something to a flyer or some sort of evasion or something huge is definitely useful. So that's really cool. And yeah, so he's a role player, not bad, not great. Let's see. Giant Spider Spawn, a 4/2 for 4. This is filler for your deck. Aggressively costed. I'd actually prefer to see this as a 2/4 than a 4/2, but um, yeah, whatever. Sometimes you're gonna be happy with this. You're gonna try not to play these in your deck, but you're not gonna cry if you do. So, Graunt's Gift, rare. Not gonna say it a whole lot. Socketable Major, definitely cool. He's only a single threshold, so you can maybe have access to non-blood socket gem powers, which is cool. And then he has for just 4, so you can cast this as twice if you have 8 resources. 3 times if you have 12. Blah blah blah. Transform target non-zombie troop in your graveyard into a zombie. Okay, with all socketed powers of this, and put it into play. That is incredible. This is something. This is a powerful enough effect where I don't mind taking a turn off to play it, because next turn I'm going to be able to get an awesome creature with an awesome effect out of my graveyard and put it into play. Like, I'm going to be able to compensate for the tempo loss. This is sweet. I think it's great. Um, First pick it, build a deck around it. Just it's good. The next turn you cast it, and it's good late. It's good on curve. Well, maybe not on curve. I mean, it has a setup cost of something has to die, but I think if you're playing blood, lots of things are dying. Your stuff's dying. Their stuff's dying. There's just a lot of death. So yeah, it's not the setup. It doesn't ask a whole lot of us, so that's cool. Harvest of Sorrow. Draw a card for each troop that died this turn. Again, uncommon. I think this card could easily be common. Not that exciting. Go get a little vape. Um, I mean, you have to play this in conjunction with a card. It's kind of hard to do when a card costs 3. So it's a little bit of a stretch. It's amazing when you can set it up perfectly. More often than not, it's just gonna sit in your sideboard, not being played because it just doesn't do enough. It's not proactive enough. And yeah, moving on. Hatchery Broodguard. This is a common, so we're gonna see a lot of this. 4/5 for 6. Gonna be good. In blood. I mean, you're not gonna get your 5/5s for or 6/6 for 5 or whatever. You're not gonna see. You're gonna typically in this kind of build for this color for this shard. You're gonna see creatures with bigger toughness than power. And that's just absolutely fine. The goal is to sit there and give some kind of incremental effect that's going to take you over into the long game. So let's see what that is. When this enters play, create 6 spiderling eggs. Sweet, bam, there it is. Those spiderlings are going to make a thing. This is going to block down the ground where your spiderlings are unblockable and swing in for the kill, slowly and painfully. Death of 1,000 paper cuts. Um, yeah, so that's what he does. I think this card's great. I think it's definitely you're gonna want even play 2 or 3 of these if you can get to 6 reliably without losing the game. I think this card's great. I really do. Be happy to play him, and many people will because he's that common. Hatchery Priest, an 0/2 for 1 threshold, Venom Cleric. Well, I like that he's a Venom. Let's see if he has a good effect. If you exhaust him, you create a Spiderling for each opposing champion. So this turn it, next turn, exhaust it, Spiderling. Next turn, exhaust it, Spiderling. That's really all he can do until you have to jump with him to not lose. Um, okay. I mean, there's a big difference between putting 4 Spiderlings versus 1. Obviously, statistically. I mean, if Spiderlings said I win the game like I originally thought they did, I would say this card's great. But as just a 1/1 unblockable, whatevs. It's fine. You're probably gonna see one of them eventually if you play this on 1. The only problem is this is an underwhelming card on its own, and 1 Spiderling isn't really that excited, so I don't know. It's probably a more accurate way to analyze that mathematically, but I don't really see this card being that great. If it was like a 1/3 for 2, I'd be a lot more excited, but it's not, so whatever. Incubate 1, basic action. Boo, I don't like basic actions ever, really, unless it's removal. Create 3 Spiderling eggs for each opposing champion and put them into their decks. This is a waste of a card. It's just an RNG thing. Maybe they get a Spiderling egg. Uh, Maybe they don't. It's not really that many to make it guarantee that you're going to see a return on this card. It's just basically not worth a spot. Moving on. Merciless Color, 3/2 for 4, double threshold. When this enters play, each champion sacrifices a troop. This card's always going to be really good if you can shape the game to take benefit of its effect. Obviously, it's a drawback otherwise. Um, I mean, it really depends on the matchup whether or not this is going to be good. I mean, if your opponent has a bunch of tokens, it's horrible. If your opponent, try to control the game and finally paid a big thing, and you skip that, and you just have to sack Merciless Caller, you basically get to pick a trade, favorable trade. If you have sack outlets, it's like upside, so it's really good there. So this is very deck and situation specific, but I think because it's common, it's going to be a necessary engine for these kind of sacky type plays that we're going to see in Blood. So I'm going to give it a C plus because I think we're going to be seeing a lot of them. It just seems that it has that kind of feel. This is going to be a necessary card for a certain kind of control sack graveyard synergistic strategies. So yeah, I'm going to give him a C plus, though maybe I'm completely wrong. MindRake, rare. Not going to see a lot of it. It's 5. 1 threshold, so it's playable in a lot of more decks. Choose target troop you control. Each troop you control that shares a trait with the chosen troop gets exhaust. Each opposing champion chooses and discards a card. So, um, I mean, I think this card is going to be something that if you're like in Venom, strictly Venom, and you know that you can reliably uh, get your opponent to dump his hand, this card is going to be like the best card in your deck. Um, on curve, if that's not, and that's pretty tall order and limited, this card isn't going to be worth the risk of it just being a blank in your deck. So I would say all in all, maybe C minus, just because it's really hard to have a consistent theme in limited. So many variables, so many people competing for resources, and the resources are just, i.e., limited. It's hard to make consistency, and I could be wrong. This might play out to be a lot better. It's not. I mean, the ceiling's really high, but the floor is really the floor is pretty consistently going to be. This card just does nothing. So not excited about it. Play it. Try it out. Prove me wrong. Um, Necropet 5, cost 1 threshold requirement, rare. So again, we're not going to see it. 5/3. 5/3 is 4/5 again. And blood, I'd rather see it be a 3/5/5, but that's just me. Um, but I mean, 5 attack is something you got to deal with. So you can't just let that get through. So that's all right. Vanilla test, it doesn't really pass, but it's fine. Shift 1. When this dies, put it into your hand. Sweet. So that's pretty good on it. It obviously can be a lot. If it's better option on something else, then hurrah. Um, it gets cost +2. Okay, so this is really good in multiple stages of the game, which makes this card really fun. So if you cast it on 5, you get it back, it's persistent, that's great. If you're in a top decking war and you just know you're going to be able to get a creature, you're going to be able to recast them again, that's great. If you're at parity and your opponent gets ahead and he attacks and you block with this, you're gonna get it back. So you're gonna lose a little tempo, but you're not gonna lose the war of attrition, the resource war. You're actually gonna come ahead in that. So that's really awesome. Really like that. I think this card is great. I wish it was uncommon because I just got excited about it and I just realized it's rare. Okay. Noxious Glory 3 double threshold. Again, rare. Um, as an additional cost to play this, sacrifice a troop. Better be awesome. Void each opposing troop with power 2 or less. So this is fine. If you can get better than a 2 for 2 out of this, then you're probably gonna do it. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like, crap. Why did I draft this card? Um, Maybe it's awesome in the meta and constructed. I don't know. Not excited about playing this at all. I'll give it a D. Pain Breeder, a 2/3 for 3, which is fine. Double Threshold, which isn't fine. When a spider enters play under your control, it gets +1/+1. So this is like kind of going to be the icing on the cake in the spider spawn deck. It's not spider spawn, but it's spider egg, spiderling deck. Otherwise, this card is very underwhelming. I mean, 2/3s for 3 are just something reality unlimited. Oftentimes, you just need something to play. The double threshold, that's prohibitive. Its effect, it's gonna be great if you need it. Otherwise, it's not even gonna be that great if you're in the spider deck. It just makes this card the ceiling on this a lot higher. But whatever. C minus, because most of the time you're gonna go meh. Uh, I've never said meh about this card. I know it's a basic action. I hate basic actions, but this card is sweet. Paraphagy, double threshold 5. Mm, that's a lot. But let's see what it does. Destroy target opposing troop. Good enough. These type cards have on always been top removal cards in every TCG I've played, set 1 and 2, stuff that do this in Hex have been great. Just being able to destroy something for 5 is awesome. 5's the perfect time to play it. That's when people play their good stuff and the games are developing out, transitioning to the late game. You're gonna, it's a time where you say, I deal with this or I win. This says, hold on a second, I can deal with you. Good enough on its own. First pickable for sure. Create 4 Spiderling eggs. What? For that troop's controller and put them into their deck. Okay, so it's premium removal with upside. If premium removal wasn't upside enough, awesome card. And I love this. This is a perfect kind of control. Spiderlings can't be blocked, so you just want to control the game, just swing your non-blockers and just stall the board and do things like this, like kill their stuff and fill their deck with things that can kill them, and the flavor's great, and just I mean your opponents are gonna really feel like that picture if you have a couple of these in your deck. And it's common, so it's gonna happen often, and sweet, sweet card. Um Bento the Brood Piece, 3 double threshold, 1/4. That is an interesting vanilla test. I would say it does not pass, but it's legendary, so it's gotta do something good, right? Exhaust, create 3 tarantula eggs for each opposing champion and put them into their decks. Now, I originally thought spiderlings were tarantula eggs, and I just thought that blood was totally broken. But tarantula eggs are amazing. Tarantulas are 5/5s that kill something when they enter play. Like that is an amazing card in and of itself. This is a perfect engine for it because it has it's aggressively costed for its toughness, so it's going to stick around for a really long time. It just fills your opponent. It just normally drawing cards is an exciting thing in TCGs. This makes drawing cards a nightmare and for your opponent. And 3 is 3 out of 40, which is always going to be like 3 out of 32 or 3 out of 27 is going to be average, a ratio of tarantula eggs to your opponent's cards. So this card like makes a pretty legitimate chance that he's going to draw one. When you're running good, they're going to draw 2 in a row, and you're just going to win and say, "That's Hex, man." This is totally a new, innovative thing that Hex is doing, and I'm really excited about this kind of card. So I'm gonna play a constructed deck that can play this, just because I love this kind of stuff. It just feel bad all around, and it teaches everyone humility. So anyway, I like this card. Obviously you're gonna first pick it in limited. It's good on its own, just because of its tarantulas are just so crazy good. Um, and yeah, it's probably gonna be worth something too. Prodigy of Volosolov. It has the Rainbow Dream threshold. Necrotic, you control a +2/+2. 3/2 for 3 are fine. I like them a little better than 2/3s for 3. Um, so, I mean, if you can get some of those rare Necrotic Allegiance cards, or is it Venom Allegiance? I don't even know, but then I guess you could play it, but that's a rare, needing a rare. Yeah, this is not a good draft card. Constructed, maybe, unless it's worth something, don't take it. Profane Ritualist, a 1/1 for 4. That's horrible. Um, Double Threshold, that's horrible. Um, what does it do? Well, it's a shin hair. Shin hair is not even a thing anymore. That's horrible. Flight. Okay, a little better. When another troop dies, this gets +1/+1. Now, I know this card is a card that maybe a lot of you just never play because it just looks like too hard to set up. In this color and in the typical way that games play out, creatures die, right? Trades are made, all that kind of stuff. Removals used. Uh, this can get a hand pretty quick. Now, it's not a reason to just go nuts with this, and it's like a kind of card you definitely don't want more than one in your deck. If you do play one, it's gonna be good more often than it's bad. But at 4 cost for what you get out the gate, makes the setup cost pretty high. I would say it's an okay include in your main, but it's gonna need a lot of help, and it's something to get too excited out of, and definitely not to rely upon, because your opponent's gonna know what's up, and I don't know. It's just the fact that it has flight though, and sometimes things have to die, and you can force the issue and stuff. Like this will, if this can get to like a 2/2 or 3/3, it's done its job, and it's going to have to be dealt with. And in that case, sweet. But it's not an amazing card, but it's definitely playable. I give it a C+. Rotcast. Double Threshold 2, quick action. I like it. Restore target opposing troop at cost 3 or less. This is going to have a ton of targets. This is going to be probably the second best removal in Blood that I've seen so far, and it's cheap, it's efficient, um, gonna have a ton of targets. I mean, this is kind of like Crackling Bolt for Blood. Definitely good, definitely playable. I'm a little bummed it's uncommon. I would like to see it at common, but anyway, maybe that'd be too good. But definitely B, solid B, and pick it, play it, love it. Shadowblade Assassin, a 3/3/4, 1 threshold, troop, necrotic rogue, lethal. Sign me up. Good enough right there. Basic one shot, shift lethal. Sign me up twice. That's amazing. The card's amazing. I love that it's that common. You could throw as many of these in your deck as you can fit. Great card. Hallelujah. Spiderling, 1/1 unblockable. Gonna see a lot of these guys, and they're gonna be producing a lot of pain and misery for drafters, constructed players. Um, yeah, this card, Spiderling. I mean, I think people are gonna look back and say this was a Spiderling set because these guys are gonna be all freaking over the place, and they're spiders, and they can't be blocked. Yay. Sudden Awakening. Put target troop in your graveyard that died this turn. Don't like it. Has to die this turn. If it said target troop in your graveyard, that would be great. 2 would probably be too cheap for that effect. They made it cheap because it has a big setup cost. It's not that great. Art's pretty trippy. Kind of like it. Other than that, it's poo poo. Taint. Gonna be a lot of innuendo about this card for sure. Taint is a quick action. Sweet. It's 1. Sweet. Target troop gets -1/-1. Sideboard card for sure. Opponent's playing a lot of X1s. You're gonna play this, and it's gonna do work. If he's not, and the main board, you gotta have a pretty weak deck to include this in your main board or in your main deck, but it's not horrible. The fact that it's a lingering effect kind of can change board state math, which makes it better than just 1 damage for sure. And the fact that it costs 1, I mean, it's a fun card. I think we're gonna play a lot of these, and you're gonna see as the format progresses, it doesn't do enough, but it's totally fine right now. Uh, Tarantula Troop Spider. When this enters play, destroy target opposing troop. Now, I don't know if this is like a tokening thing that's produced. Because if this was just a card that you could draft, like it was just in the packs, this would be first pick all the way. It's just too good. It's way too good. It looks like a PVE card that has some PvP ways of bringing it into the world of PvP, out of the world of PvE. It's cool. I love this card. So freaking broken. For all of you that have done Arena, you know how terrifying this card can be. You're like, wait, I was crushing you, and now I'm dead next turn. Wah. Very good. If this was a troop that you could draft, I would say draft it first pick all the way. Yeehaw. Touch of Yanoth, common. We're going to see a lot of it. 2, 1 threshold, basic action. Boo. Target troop you control gets unblockable, and, well, unblockable is pretty good for 2. And when this deals damage to an opposing champion, that champion creates a spider laying egg for each damage dealt and puts them into their deck. More spiders, more pain, more Xenoth down your face. All spiders all the time. He even has 4 arms. Nope, he's a spider. There's some spider legs back there. Okay. All spiders all the time. Card's great. This is gonna be a ton of pain for your opponent. It's basic action, so it can punish you if your opponent's holding up some way to interact with your cards at quick action speed. But other than that, it's fine. You're gonna wanna just don't play this card unless your opponent's tapped out. It's the kind of card that's gonna do work if it can. It's gonna demand being dealt with. You want your opponent actually to waste the card, um, dealing with it, not setting yourself up to be 2 for 1. For you as new drafters, 2 for 1 is a sure sign of eventual defeat. You don't want to spend more cards than your opponent does ever. Whoever spends the least cards while advancing their position wins in most games. Okay, moving on. Untamed Dustwing, a 1/2 for 2, 1 threshold, flight. Unless there's some great auras somewhere in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, this card is poop. A 1 power flight creature for 2 is all like a 1/1 ground creature for 1. Just not enough. If you can have ways to make it bigger, cool. Otherwise, it's pretty underwhelming. It's common, so you're gonna see a ton of these. Boo. It's just a cop out card. It's a bat. Big deal. I mean, ooh, blood. We got bats. Filler, whatever. I'm sure there's some mathematical reason to have this in a set, but the only job it's doing for me right now is making me sad. Vampire Pegasus. This card makes me very happy because it's a Vampire Pegasus. I mean, that is about. I've never seen a Vampire Pegasus, and I've been nerding out for years in any kind of mythos of any fantasy world. The Pegasus have been free from being corrupted by vampires, and now finally this is a living, breathing, imaginary vampire Pegasus. And they even put all of it in the one word, Van Pegasus. It's just it's great. It could be called Von Van Pegasus, and it's an undead vampire Pegasus. Oh, so sweet. Sacrifice troop. This gets fight this turn. That's bad. A 3/3 for 5 is bad, but it's a flavor win. Like I went through these cards before I did this, and I was thinking to myself, I was so excited that it was a Vampire Pegasus. I didn't even vanilla test it, and no, it's a horrible card. Um, no, it's bad. That's bad. 3/3 for 5 are bad. You have to kill something to give it flight. No, no, thank you. Bad card. Um, it becoming undead did not make it better. I think I would rather have a 2/1 for 1. Isn't that what 2/1 for 2? Isn't that what most Pegasus are in the world of and TCGs? Anyway, I'm way off subject. Bad card. Don't play it. But print them out and put them on your wall and make T-shirts out of them because they're pretty flavor win in my book. Vampire Princess, rare. I think a lot of people already know about this card. It's awesome. A 2/3 life drain flight is very good for 3. Gives you a solid reason to go into blood. When this deals damage to an opposing champion, that champion reveals a random card from their hand. Okay. The revealed card is in action. Transform it into a vampiric kiss and put into your hand at the, and put into your hand. At the start of the game, if this is in your hand, it gets once per turn. Spend some mana. No, is that a 0? Yeah, it's a 0. Vampiric kiss is in your hand and costs -3 this turn. Holy crap, that's a lot of text. So it does a little bit of disruption, um, and you get card advantage, and you can ramp it out with a combo piece. Um, that's all great things. Those are all upsides. If you want to win Vampiric Kisses, it's like probably the second best removal in the set in this color. Deal 2 damage to target, champion or troop, gain health. Sweet. Totally worth 3 mana. Quick action. Totally amazing. I wouldn't even hate it if it was basic action. Great card. So you get all this card advantage, disruption, rampy type stuff, all these potentialities. But the point is, a 2/3 flying life drain for 3 is just great. They could have none of that. It'd be amazing. I know it's rare, so it's pushed. But first pick it, build around it, have a good time. Yay. Vampire Kiss. Okay. Vicious Vivisector. 3/5 for 5. Very expected. In this, I like 3/5s for 5s and controlling type archetypes. Venom Allegiance, awesome, and is also a Venom. That's cool. When it is played, bury the top 3 cards of opposing, uh, top 3 cards of each opposing champion's deck. So this can go out and get your Spiderlings or your Tarantulas or whatever you got going on, and leave something that's hard to deal with. So he sits back and takes care of the ground while your Spiderlings kill your opponent slowly to the death of 1,000 paper cuts. Pretty cool. Probably says something awesome in the flavor text. Just can't see it at this moment. And yeah, like this card a lot. You're gonna see him a lot. Definitely good. He adds a lot of structure to the archetype, and I like him a lot. Vilefang Eremite, Troop, Venom, again, Warlock. When a spider enters play under your control, which it should, if you're playing this archetype, this deals 1 damage to each opposing champion. Sweet. Gain health equal to that. So this makes the game go out long. 4 toughness makes the game go out long. Spiderlings like long games. Gaining health, doing damage is, one at a time. It's just totally control. Totally the thing that Blood wants to do. Everything about this card is absolutely perfect for the archetype. Well designed, well thought of, clear purpose of what Blood wants to do with their little spiders and their ground disruption and their gaining life and killing slowly and softly. Um, Vilefang Eremite is sweet. I love it. It's common. You're going to see a ton of it. Yeehaw. Um, Warlock of Itia. He's a necrotic warlock. Kind of a rogue here, huh? Necrotic. I mean, this is kind of a Venom party. I don't know what he's doing here. Double threshold 3, 1/1. That's horrible. And sacrifice another troop. This gets +2/+2. That's horrible. You don't want to lose a whole card for that effect unless it's going to win you the game or something. Basic one-shot ship. Sacrifice another troop. This gets +2/+2. I mean, I could see a scenario where it's better to attack with one giant thing than all your spiderlings. No, that's not even good because your spiderlings are unblockable. I don't know. If you could shift this and get your unblockable, to sack off everything to get your one spiderling egg as like a 5/5 and win the game, that's cool. But the ceiling, this is a build around uncommon, which just basically means like it's pretty bad unless it's perfect, and most of the time it's going to be pretty bad. So this is like super. I can't even think of all the iterations to make this, like to think of when you really want to play this. It basically has to do with some situation where you want to go in all in on one thing because of some locked up board state or whatever. But nothing about this is good the turn you play it in a vacuum. So poo on this card. Zealous uh, Excruciator. Um, Hard to say. 5/4 for 5, double threshold. Pretty good. When this enters play, each opposing champion chooses pain or suffering. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to choose pain. Haven't read on yet. Then those champions reveal 2 random cards from their hand. Okay. For each opposing champion, if they choose pain, this deals damage to them equal to the combined cost of the cards they revealed in this way. Let's go back. Random. Ooh, this could be big. So it is random. You don't get to play around this. And then it deals damage to them equal to the command. Okay. And then if they chose suffering, they discard the cards they reveal this way. At 5, that damage could be pretty legit. Maybe not necessarily if you're playing against Blood because they're a little slow out the gate, but I would say typically it's better to have cards in life, but I don't know, man. It sounds like pain is almost as worse as suffering. I don't know if you ever heard that expression, pain is optional. Wait, pain is necessary, but suffering is optional. Sounds like neither. It seems like pain and suffering are not really, neither one of them are optional. You can get the option between pain or suffering, but you got to deal with some one or the other, no matter what, when this card's played. And it's pretty sweet. It's rare, so you're not going to see it a lot, but your opponent's not going to be happy either way. And it's pretty balanced between the two. So actually, you're going to see both iterations actually in play consistently. It's not like one-sided or anything. So I like that in a card. So anyway, that finishes up my Blood review. Hopefully you liked Artifact. I'm building just started a YouTube page today because I didn't see a whole lot of set reviews or limited focus stuff. So decided to throw that in there. This quality of this is a little better. I'm learning everything, so it's going to take time. But thanks for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.